the reason I like this movie is because I could very much identify with this movie. And that, to me, you can't get everyone to identify with a movie. You understand? So, because it's not everything is going to be everyone's cup of tea. Someone's gonna like this. Someone's gonna prefer this film over here, or this story, or vibe, or whatever. Right? So, but I very much like this movie because it operated very much on a very deeper level than most movies do. Most movies operate in a way that is very surface level, okay? And it's very similar to the majority of people on the planet. They operate on a very surface level to do with the day-to-day the day-to-day movements and engagements that we have, right? It's very superficial, very meaningless. Meaningless. Most of our lives, pretty much. I can't speak for everyone. I can speak for myself and what I observe, I suppose, but like they're meaningless. So this film, Somewhere, with Stephen Dwarf, directed by Sofia Coppola, and a great performance by Elle Fanning. She was very young in this movie, but you could tell that she had that star quality even back then. Even though I don't even like using that phrase, star quality. She just seemed like a real nice kid, nice pure kid, without any disruptions in her system, right? So the film starts off. He's kind of like this actor in Hollywood, and he breaks his arm, and then it's shot in a way that is you're just an observer. You're just observing this guy. That's all you're really doing. So when he breaks his arm, he's like a Hollywood up and coming actor. He's not even up and coming. I think he's very famous in the movie, but you wouldn't think so by just watching him in the movie. So these two dancers come into the room and they're dancing. It's kind of funny as well in an ironic kind of like awkward kind of way, right? And he just go through his life, which is kind of meaningless, and he's bored. He doesn't really know what to do with himself when he's not away, when he's not doing the superficiality of movie making. And it's not to say that all movie making is superficial, because it's not. Right? There's some great movies there that have really good layers to it, the good meaning to it underneath. They're not surface level. They're not surface level movies. And I think that I'm going to put my movies up on YouTube now in the next couple of days. I was trying to get the two new films up on Aer Lingus flights, and I can't get in contact with the same people or the company again like I done with the Trap movie. So I'm going to have to just put them up on YouTube, because I wanted to put them up there first, because they like to show films on Aer Lingus that haven't been seen anywhere. So, but I may try contact them again, because they like to have them for a couple of months and stuff on their flights. But I'm not sure. But either way, I tried to do that with the three films that I had. Tried to make them in a way that they weren't just surface level, that they were very layered, and they were under. They had a bit of depth to them. It was what was beyond the film, is what the film was trying to. What's what the film was about. Okay, very much so with The Trap. Very much so with The Case of Death. Very much so with The Man Who Died. So there is some great movies out there that try to do that. They try to do that, and this movie Somewhere is definitely one of them movies that has that in spades, way more than any of my films, way more than most films that you will see. And it comes down to the performances and the direction of the movie, because it's directed beautifully by Sofia Coppola. She's a great director. I really like her movies. I think they're got she makes films from her own personal experiences. You can see with her dad, like when she grew up with her dad, because he was very, very busy at the time, and he was always moving and doing Apocalypse Now, and he was doing The Godfather and all those other films and stuff. And obviously she trailed around with him, so she could see firsthand the surface level emptiness of maybe the people that were working in the movies with her dad, and just that kind of like relentless pushing, and maybe missing loads of moments in reality. And So I feel a personal connection to this movie because of the relationship that I have with my daughter. I've been bringing up my daughter on her own since she was about 8 or 9 or something like that. I won't go into the whole thing with her mother, but it was a hard experience to deal with these innocent looking, innocent sounding, very conniving women that try to do the most devilish games on men. And I've experienced it firsthand with my mother and with my daughter's mother and other women as well, which I won't get into. But like, so I have a personal connection with this movie, how beautiful it is, because like Sofia Coppola and the story I was telling about her dad and stuff like that, that you miss things in reality. That this is what this film is about. It's about being aware of your children. That's really what it's about. Okay, and just say when I was talking about the connections between myself, just say, and this movie, is that I can completely identify with this movie because I made that decision years ago, and I had to work very, very hard to make sure that my daughter stayed with me. Whether it was doing things to do with her mother, the cruel games that she was playing, the complete unpractical mindset that she had. And they all drink the Kool-Aid from the enemy in this world, which gives women the power over the family, which is an abomination to the Creator. Okay, because that's not how it works. It doesn't work that way, right? So I had to roll the dice years ago with my daughter and her demonic mother, and I was very, very lucky that my daughter decided to stay with me and gave me her backing. Because if it wasn't for that, the courts and her mother would have, and my own mother would have had me hanging from a tree. Only for that my daughter could see that I genuinely cared for her and her well-being and her internal state, her internal home. Because that's what a good parent does. He has to, or she has to, take care of them from an internal point of view. And in Somewhere with Stephen Dwarf, there's little moments in the film. He's distracted. He's not very happy. He's kind of bordering on suicidal-ish, kind of like, he's not suicidal, but he's just kind of like, he's just in a bad place, in a very bad place internally because of this superficial world that we all are in, that we could all get swept up by the way. It's there before we're born. It's there waiting for us, this empty, superficial world that sometimes I can kind of like go towards as well, and kind of like, well, I'd like to do this and do that, but I don't know, I don't want to be engaged in the superficiality of it all. I don't want, because they'll put you in a situation where you're going to have to sell yourself out to do something, and I just don't like it. That's why I make a lot of my movies, all my movies, the 3 movies I've made, with my own money from driving a truck. I haven't had to go to anyone to say, can I do this? Because the minute you go to somebody else, they're going to always have their ideas. So it's very, very hard to make anything other than Spielberg movies, which are just popcorn movies. Every one of his movies are Fantasyland, right? From Jurassic Park to whatever, they're all Fantasyland, right? That's what they are. It's a roller coaster movie, right? So, and they're not based on reality at all. Hardly any of them. Maybe E.T. But anyway, right? Let's not go off on that. So, with Somewhere, yeah, I feel a connection with the movie because through the movie that he realizes that the only thing that matters is his daughter and his connection with his daughter and trying and just being there for her. And I made that decision years ago that no matter what, even if I'm going to be the worst father in the world, I'm going to stay with her. I'm not going to just leave her when she's young in this world on her own without someone that cares for her. I decided that years ago. Years ago, I decided that. And no matter what I had to do, I was going to stay with her no matter what, no matter who tried to separate us, no matter what the system said, no matter anything. I was going to stay with her and not side with anyone else against her, ever. So I have a connection with the film somewhere because I can see that in the movie, and it's done beautifully in the movie. It's done so beautiful in the movie, and Stephen Dwarf's face in the film, and his personality and his acting in the film is just spot on. And to me, that's the only thing that really does hold any kind of like any substance. You know, I'm not going to play any games. I'm not going to say, "Oh, I couldn't do this because of that, and I couldn't do this because of this, and this person done this." So, yes, I could have done all that. Oh, your mother done this, or your mother done that, and she's being unreasonable here. She's making it very awkward for me. I'm stuck in traffic for years because she won't change the school. I'm just going to leave. No, no, I'm going to stay, and she's going to at least know that there's one person that's going to stay with her no matter what. No matter what. And I made that decision years ago. In the film, somewhere, he makes that decision at the end. The superficial world doesn't matter. You know, it's just razzmatazz. It's just glitter. It's just emptiness. It's just everyone trying to promote themselves and trying to get something for themselves only. Not that doesn't exist inside my own system or doesn't exist in other people as well, but still at the same time, you've got to have a base where you come back to and go like, well, this is the only thing that means anything. My daughter, to me, even though she's a pain in the rump and stuff sometimes, is the only thing that really means anything to me, because everyone else, whether they know it or not, abandon the realities of who I am or what I am. They abandon them. So I have no interest in these people anymore. They've shown themselves to be what they are, regardless whether they know it or not. I know it, right? So this is just a small story connected with the film somewhere, because it's a brilliant movie, and I urge everyone to watch it and really watch it. Really watch the movie. Watch it from the start right till the end, because everything means something. Even the first shot of the car going around the racetrack for an unbelievably long amount of time, that means something in the movie. Okay, so when I was me and my daughter were in the car yesterday, and we're driving back from this. She does horse racing, and so I dropped her down to Kildare yesterday. It's about an hour drive or something, or 45, 50 minutes. And we're driving back, and over the last couple of months, because I understand she's very young and stuff, she goes up and down a little bit. Sometimes she's, a bit lighter. Sometimes she's a bit, and then sometimes she's really wrapped inside herself, and she's young, and she can be very just incorrect in so many ways, and just kind of like, trying to get digs at me and just trying to be awkward in the house and awkward with me, right? And that's fine. I understand that, right? So I had to kind of like I had to lay into her a tiny bit verbally on the way back, and she remained quiet when I was kind of like laying into her a tiny bit, because it's probably a little bit awkward or whatever, but I wasn't doing it in a way. I was a little bit frustrated, to be honest, but at the same time, I wanted to correct her internal state. That it's incorrect the way she's going on, that she's carrying too much weight inside herself, and she's taking things in the wrong way, and it's incorrect. And I'm only trying to correct her behavior, or at least say it to her, even though she may attack me over it, to make sure that she understands, or even hear someone say things to her that most people won't say. They'll say, "Oh yeah, great, do great in life, do this, and and you'll do great with your horse riding and your horse racing, and she may want to go to Australia next year." And I said, "Well, okay, fine." And all these things are superficial. You see, they're superficial. That's not to say that you shouldn't do them, but it's the internal parts, the under the water, not the surface, under the water, that matters, and that is what matters. So I was trying to correct and say things to her to offer correction, and to point it out, to bring it up to consciousness so she can see it, whether she attacks me or not. And that is part of being a real parent, because I have to run them risks every now and then of her not liking me or not being favorable to her in her eyes, because it's the internal position, the internal state is where we live. That's our home. Okay, so there's a lot of connections to do with that, to do with Somewhere, the movie Somewhere by Sofia Coppola. And I can identify with the movie because I took that journey years ago with my own daughter, that I wasn't going to leave her, that she was going to stay with me, and that I was not going to give up on her no matter what. There was not going to be any excuse. No excuses. And if I couldn't do it, then I was going to do the best that I could in other ways and bend another way to do this and to do that. Do you understand? So a lot of people have so many excuses. Oh, I can't do this because I can't do that, and because I'm going here and I'm going that. Go fuck yourself. If you want to do something, you'll do it. The only reason you're not trying your best to do something is because you don't want to do it anyway, and the other people, and then people don't matter to you. I know that from other people that were close to me years ago. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. Okay, and it's a hard truth to swallow, and it also is a refreshing truth to swallow as well, because you could admit that you were wrong and you can move on. So enjoy the film Somewhere. Definitely check it out. It's a film that is slow. It hasn't got first act, second act, third act. It's not done like that. It's just you're watching these people. You're watching this guy, and you're watching this young girl. And even though it's slow and there's some long, very long one takes with zooms and stuff like that, and it's just showing you things, and it's not trying to entertain you even. But it's very gripping, the movie. Watch it to the end. Enjoy it. It's one of the best films over the last... It's one of my favorite films. I definitely put it in my top 10. Adios.